Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our podcast. I am your host, Prachi Goyal, and with me is my co host, Vaibhav Kulkarni. Today, our guest is Harsh Kishore, who has 8 years of experience in strategy, business operation, and marketing. He has been working in multiple industries like SaaS and edtech industry. He has also been recognized as one of the India's 25 marketing geniuses. Harsh is currently the director of marketing and strategy at LeadSquared, where he leads growth and go-to-market strategies. He is also a mentor and startup scale-up advisor. Harsh is passionate about gaming, writing, music, and fitness. So let's know about his journey from the man himself, Harsh Kishore. Welcome to the podcast, Harsh.
Welcome, Harsh.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Prachi. Thank you, Weber, for having me here. Look forward to having a nice conversation with you guys. That was a very nice intro, by the way. Thank you.
Great. So, Harsh, I think we know you as someone who is into marketing strategy and business operation, as Prachi mentioned. So, can you आप बता सकते हो कि ये जर्नी स्टार्ट कहाँ से हुई? When you know, do you had any formal education in marketing, or it's more out of passion for you? कैसे you went into this industry?
Yeah, so I think the realization hit when I was in college. I was doing bachelor's in engineering from Manipal, Jaipur, and I think engineering is now the 12th standard sort of. Everybody first completes their BTech or engineering, and then they figure out what do they now want to do with their life, right? So that's something that happened to me. I wrote a few, a couple of technical research papers while in college, and it sounds very ironical that I wrote research papers and then I'm into something non-engineering. But that's when I figured out maybe I'm not really into that. And a nice job, an ideal profile for me that time looked like a sales profile or somewhere I could interact with people and all that, right? So I had a creative mind. I had been a writer. I had been an artist of sorts. So that's when I figured out, okay, I want to do something beyond engineering, and thankfully I got an opportunity in sales, and that's how it all started. So from sales, I figured out, okay, now marketing, and that's how I ended up in marketing, and that's basically the short story about it.
Great, wonderful. And you have also, I think Prachi mentioned कि आपको एक award मिला है, that is 25 top 25 geniuses in marketing industry in India. So can you give us brief about that कि वो क्या होता है, and then a brief about it.
Yeah, so it's a list of folks that Indian Startup Times has compiled,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, I had no idea. I had no idea I was even nominated, or I had not nominated myself. Nobody reached out. Generally, these awards you would be aware, but I had no idea. One day I woke up, there was a LinkedIn notification that Indian Startup Times has tagged me in one of their posts. I opened the post, and that's when I found out. So it was a complete shocker, but a pleasant one. And yeah, I think to be placed with folks from really impressive backgrounds, really impressive experiences and companies, to be among one of them is a very big honor. So yeah, that's how. But I don't know. I figured out how they tried to compile this list. What did I do to be worthy of this? And I think they had a method, and just experience and past companies and online presence and all that they saw. But really thankful to have had been given that award.
So thanks for sharing, Harsh. I am sure, hope you keep on getting such kind of mails and tags where
Thank you.
you are getting such kind of rewards. So next, I would like to understand about the scale of advisor. You have mentioned that you
Hmm.
are advising to the startups also. So I want to know about that journey. And before that, I want to understand
Yeah.
your marketing journey also, from where exactly it started, because you were previously into business development, if I'm not wrong, and then you have moved to the marketing strategies, right? So I would like to
Right.
understand that how this journey started, and after starting this journey, you have also started advising the startups. So how this all things look like?
All right. So yeah, to answer the first part of the question, how did the journey with marketing start? I started my career in sales in Byju's in 2016, and I think, by the way, having a sales background while you are a marketer gives you an edge. At least in my case, it did, because since I've interacted with so many prospects and I've sold myself, right, I understand the psyche of the buyer, the biases that they would have, and combine that with the creativity of a marketer. I think that becomes a very potent combination. At least that's really advantageous for me. So I came from a sales background. They eventually made me a team leader, team manager, and gave me a whole region in Rajasthan. So I was looking after a large team there. And the way it worked back then at Byju's was you looked after pretty much everything. So even if there's of course, the main primary objective that I always had was revenue targets. But if there is a above the line marketing campaign, hoardings or whatnot, even that was part of my responsibility. So that's when I got introduced in my job to marketing, and I figured, okay, this is really exciting and interesting for me. I made a request internally back in sometime in 2018, and they moved me to marketing, corporate strategy within Byju's. That's how it basically started in my role. And then from Byju's, I moved to Amazon in a product marketing role, and then from Amazon to LeadSquared in a marketing and strategy leadership role. So I think that's how the journey has been. The major pivot was within Byju's. It was an internal switch because I really liked marketing. But along the way, I've consumed just too much content. I'm just a voracious reader. I listen to podcasts and just too many ideas, right? And I want to do it differently. So it's quite exciting for me. So even if a simple campaign or an outreach, campaign is supposed to be designed, I always try to do the different thing, try to screw up as many times and learn as much, right? So that's what I do. To answer the other question that you had, Prachi, about the advising and mentoring startups for their growth and all that. So about 4 years ago, I started interacting with some of startups that reached out to me on LinkedIn, friends. There were some expert networks that I was part of, and that's when I figured out, okay, this comes sort of naturally to me because my first principles as far as marketing is concerned, it's pretty solid, at least in my head. So, and when I gave somebody an advice with the context of what that business is, what they are running, it really resonated with them, helped them. So I thought, okay, why not do this on a sort of a larger level? So, and then I just started using different platforms, including LinkedIn, and thankfully, every other week there is some interaction with some new founder where they have an offering, and I help them out with their go-to-market strategy. Everything from setting up their landing page, digital presence, to their channels and their sales mechanism, everything in between. So that's what I do. So far, it's been really fulfilling because if a founder is a product person or a software person and they really need help with the rest of the things, and if I can come in and help them with that, that's quite fulfilling, that feeling, right? So that's how it has been. So that's been going on for the last 4 years.
And that's what I believe it is a plus point for the marketer. When you come from the sales background, you have already understood what's the customer need, right?
Yeah.
And some of the marketers who don't have that groundwork which sales people do actually to
Yeah.
निचोड़ देते customers को कि नहीं क्या चाहिए आप बताओ जिससे कि I can do the sale. So that is something which is missing sometimes. So I guess it is a proper mixture of sales and marketing when you do it together. Like once you move, do a transition from this role to this role, right?
100% agreed. So I mean, and now with so many brands, in fact, direct to consumer brands and just repetitive marketing styles and approaches, most marketing approaches or most campaigns are just me too marketing campaigns. By me too marketing campaign, what I mean is, okay, so this person is selling this and this is their business. Me too. I also sell the same thing. And I will just go ahead and list my features and some discount. I mean, that's already done, and that's. I mean, it's working, but I mean, that's not amazing, right? Rather, if you could focus on the needs first, nurture the lead, and then do something around that, create a community. That's what happens, right? When you end up creating fans or a community, your sales, you stop bothering about that. It's not a major concern anymore once you have fans, and fans are created not by doing me too marketing, right? So yeah, as you said, with that sales background and what not to do, since that is very clear to me, I think that has really helped.
Great. And I think so I even work with a lot of small early stage startup founders और जहाँ पे शायद चीजें बहुत defined नहीं होती हैं. One of the thing I see a lot in founders is उनके पास में decent amount होता है and then they are all confused. कि मैं क्या करूँ, like shall I do, like what kind of GTM strategy shall I build, where should I focus, और उनको लगता है कि where can I get the results out, वो थोड़े से rush में होता है. बिकॉज इनिशियली
Yeah.
सबको रिजल्ट चाहिए होता है, राइट? सो ऐसे फाउंडर्स के लिए, या फिर डू यू हैव एनी स्ट्रेटजीज और मैसेज यू वुड लाइक टू communicate to them that this is something that you should be doing, that is the maybe not right way by 100% but ideal way, I would say.
Yeah, in fact, this is the first question we answer, right? So, besides the work that I do with LeadSquared, my full-time job, I also, as I said, work with some founders and advise them. And this is the first answer, that they expect, or rather I give, which is, how do I start? And my answer generally is, you need to have an MVP that's that carries some validation with it. So let's say you are offering or your product, do a small release, do a pilot, have focus group discussions, have some users use it for free. What you've built is, if you're especially if you're a first or a second time founder, what you've built is just from you, right? So it's your POV, your angle, your approach. And when you have a focus group discussions, when you do a pilot, a limited release, you figure out a lot of other things, a lot of viewpoints that were not there earlier. And because of that, you end up understanding, even sometimes pivoting the product completely. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, but at least you're aware that, okay, if I take this to market, the market really asks for it, they need it. You can't take a product to market which is not really well executed or very cumbersome to use, which has high friction usage, right? So that's the first step. So once you're sure, and my suggestion and advice is, do not spend a single marketing dollar before you have 100% validation in your head at least. That proof of concept should be there. Of course, I mean, there could be a opposing viewpoint that, but why? I mean, I can just make changes while I go on. 110% you can, and you should, but the basics, the fundamental, if somebody asks you what does the product do, you should have a one-line answer and you should have conviction around that. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, now that you're aware of, okay, let's take it to market, you're sure. Simple two questions. One, who is my user, as in who is my target audience? What persona rather am I targeting? That's the first part. The second part is, where are they? I mean, if I'm building a enterprise B2B product, and if I go and start advertising in newspapers and mass, or rather maybe even Instagram, it could work, but not right now. That's not how you start. So if you keep it that simple, if you can just answer the things that it can do in a line, you know who you want to sell or speak to, and you start speaking their language on the platform where they are present, I think that's a great start. And the rest will obviously follow then, which campaigns and how many marketing dollars and how to optimize and the creatives and the landing pages, all of those things will fall in order, but the basic, this foundational understanding has to be there.
But in this campaigns, how you are balancing the brand building and performance marketing? Because they are like major challenges happen with most of the industry, right? So how do you balance that?
So I think I have a very specific opinion on this. You might or might not agree with this. When you're just starting out, your brand is the sales. Um, when Coca-Cola was starting out, I'm 110% sure they were not spending, marketing dollars on creating the best logo or the best slogan or the best packaging. It was all about the product and the first users. Similarly for Apple, right? And and that became the brand. That eventually becomes the brand. So as Seth Godin says, Seth Godin is for me the godfather of marketing. What he says is, you start focusing on the brand once you have the first set of users and those fans are there. Then you create and give a brand to them, and then they rally it for you. So
Huh.
somebody who's just starting out, right, I would suggest focus on getting the first users, first paid clients, customers, and brand building is already happening when you do that. Focus completely on brand building sometime later in the journey.
Right. And I think I don't know who said it. I guess it's Ashneer Grover कि पहले धंधा बनाओ ब्रांड फिर बना लेंगे
हाँ.
कि make some sales first and then you know build a brand. But रिलेवेंट क्वेश्चन कि बहुत सारे लोगों को शायद बहुत सारे जो फाउंडर्स होते हैं दे आर प्रोडक्ट मार्केट मतलब वो प्रोडक्ट लेड फाउंडर्स होते हैं उनको प्रोडक्ट एक्सपर्टीज होती है तो शायद उनको समझ नहीं आता कि मेरा प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट कैसे मतलब कैसे मैं अंडरस्टैंड करूँ एज फाउंडर कि मेरा प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट है या नहीं है.
Um, you have to be obsessed in a sort of unhealthy way with what industry you are serving. I think that's the only way to do it. So many examples are there. You have to become an absolute expert in the industry before you create a product or take it to market. Else the market will eat you up. So as simple as that. Because there are the competitors that you would have are folks who have spent years and decades doing what you have just started doing. So in order to beat that, you need to have expertise and your own angle, and that only happens when you do it repetitively, learn about it, study it obsessively, right? So I think that's one major suggestion. The other one is an example actually. So there's this taxi service called Chauffeur, started in Bangalore. So GrowthX Abhishek Patil had the founder on his own podcast last week, and quite an eye-opening podcast, to be honest. So this person started off with a very simple concept. He was tired with Ola and Uber, the quality, the loud talking on the phone, the AC is not working, and whatnot, right? They just wanted a simple service where you get water, you get quiet, you get the AC, and the cab is clean. Simple. He studied the taxi industry obsessively, visited all sorts of tier one, tier two, and tier three cities, understood the mindset. What are people ready to pay for? Because of course this is now crowded, right? You have Rapido, you have Namayatri, you have Blue Smart, you have Ola, Uber, and now Chauffeur, and My Cabs and Mega Cabs and whatnot. Of course, it is not a new idea, but this person was just obsessed with one thing. If you sit down in my cab, you are going to come back and use it. And I think I saw a metric that said 70% of the users come back and use it. I mean, that is an amazing. And are we all not just ready to stop using Ola and Uber? And this person comes along and gives us a legit option. So yeah, I think that's the way to go about it. I mean, obviously nothing against Ola, Uber, but it's a cyclic thing. Uh, Quality was something else. They were pioneers, and now it's not there where they would want it to be, and hence there are alternatives. So yeah, my suggestion would be just become obsessed with that industry, become an absolute expert. You understand the problem very clearly. You can see through the problem, and that's when you start creating the solution.
2 दिन पहले मैं ये सुन रही थी कि लाइक इट गेट्स अ हैबिट ऑफ द यूजर आल्सो कि
Yeah,
उबर ओला यूज कर रहे हो तो उबर ओला ही यूज करते रहो चाहे
100%.
मार्केट में उससे सस्ता भी चीज आ जाएगा स्टिल यू विल
Yeah.
टेक सम टाइम टू मूव योर हैबिट की नहीं ओला ना
Yeah.
यूज करके मैं ये यूज करूंगी सो यू आर राइट कि इवन सेम हैपेंस विद द परफ्यूम इंडस्ट्री इतने like normal like we are having a very premium range of perfumes then very normal range of perfumes and nowadays even premium range के perfumes भी normal range में आ रहे हैं but still people
Yeah.
go and prefer premium range because उनकी आदत हो गई कि I am used to with this particular smell so that is how they go for it. So
Yeah.
nice insights on that. Harsh, आपने अब दो इंडस्ट्री पे वर्क कर लिया, right? One is SaaS based industry and the other one is edtech industry. I'm sure, like in both the industry, you might have found a different trend which is going on, right? I want to understand that what kind of metrics you have followed, which has literally made your marketing campaigns a successful one in both this industry, and कितना as a marketer कितना deviate आपको होना पड़ा, like when you moved from one industry to other industry, it was a little challenge for you, or it was fine, like it was in the same flow?
Quite different, to be honest, Prachi. So, edtech, it was a B2B, B2C product. It was a B2C product, and marketing within B2C versus B2B is different, right? But the similarity is, in the end, you are selling to people, whether it's B2B or B2C. Yeah. In edtech, the buyers were individuals. You were not required to go in that loop where there were multiple decision makers. You knew very clearly who the persona is. It could be the parents, or if it's a higher standard, let's say ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th standard, then maybe also the student. So you just need to show the right value to the parents. You need to find out where the parents are, and you need to speak the language that they understand. As simple as that. That's how, for me, edtech marketing and B2C marketing was. In fact, we used that concept a lot when I was in Amazon. So in Amazon, I was working in a team called Amazon Academy, and Amazon Academy was the edtech offering of Amazon. And I created the GTM and all the marketing channels and all that, and that's what we did. It was earlier internet first, and then we started doing ads in newspapers. We started reaching out to coaching centers and schools, and I questioned everything, right? So let's say if all the big players are doing school campaigns, why should I do it? And why should I do it in the way that they do? Can I do it differently? That gave me a lot of you know opportunity for experimenting and failing, which I'm very thankful for, because I understood a lot. And then we made some really successful marketing campaigns. So that was edtech. Of course, I mean, I can go on and on about B2C marketing, but then B2B is different. Not very, but yeah, it is different, because B2B has this whole notion that it has to be serious. I think we are sort of now breaking that. The B2B marketing industry is breaking that barrier. I'm very happy about it. It does not have to be boring and formal all the way, all the time. Even B2B marketing can be fun, it can be humorous and all that. But it's here identifying who your persona is. So, for example, if I'm selling a CRM, and the person who uses the CRM is a salesperson, I might want to engage the salesperson and speak to them, but are they also the decision maker? Maybe not. The decision maker would be the sales head, or the ops head, or maybe the founder, CEO, all those people. So this distinctiveness has to be there. It has to be very clear who you want to speak to, who will take the call for you. Of course, the salesperson can become my champion. They can rally for me. They can become a fan for me and help me with the whole decision cycle. But they will not take a decision. So the way I engage them versus how I engage the decision makers will be different slightly. So I need to understand the language. What are their metrics? Why would they approve a buy action on any vendor? I need to figure that out, and then I speak to them. Similarly, I also look after PR in LeadSquared, and our positioning is very important. So who are we being seen with?
Yeah.
There is a story in, let's say, a manufacturing story, where a big manufacturer, a big large cement manufacturer is giving, some insights. Can I have a bite in that story? As in, my CRM company's founder, can he have a bite? Because now it makes me very relevant within the manufacturing industry. And now this becomes a CRM that the cement industry can use. So that placement, so there's a lot of thought that goes in B2B marketing. Funnel and conversions are quite different. That's how it's different. But as I said in the beginning, I think it's just selling to people in the end. You're marketing it to people only. And you just have to understand what they want to listen, what their problems are, how clearly can you solve that, and that's it.
Great. Or I think we have spoken a lot about GTM in this past few minutes. So can you help our audience understand ki if I'm a solo founder, I don't have any marketing guy with me, and I don't wanna, I'm not that much funded right now. Can you share some strategies that you believe can, easy to go like ये आप
Yeah,
कर सकते हो. That might be, I understand it might be vary from B2B, B2C, SaaS and अलग अलग इंडस्ट्री के लिए वेरी होगा, बट इन जनरल सेंस की क्या करना चाहिए, एंड देन ऑल्सो वेयर
hmm,
डज परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग स्टैंड इन दिस प्रोसेस की शुड यू गो राइट अवे, शुड यू नॉट गो राइट अवे अबाउट इट.
understood. So I'll give generic advice. This is irrespective of what industry and what type of product you have. But founders, if especially you are, by yourself and you want to understand, test the waters before you dive in, start looking at all of this as a playground. And the question is, where do you play? How do you play? Right. So where do you play means what industry should you target? Now, for that, start doing some strategic research. All of this can be done by yourself. There's tons of options, there's tons of reports. You can download reports and summarize them with your LLMs, your GPTs, and your Geminis and your clouds. So, figure out your industry. So, for example, I have a product. I have created a guitar. It's a different type of a guitar. For example, I want to understand that industry. Who am I selling to? Am I selling to new learners? Am I selling to folks who already have multiple guitars and they're just collecting? Am I selling it to professionals? Who am I selling it to? Studios. So these are, let's say, different verticals for me, right? Different places for me to play. And then I will dive deep. How big is the market? So market sizing, the total addressable market, SAM, SOM, all that. Who are the competitors? So who am I playing with, right? So let's say I'm trying to sell it to professionals. So in professional, there's ESP, there's Gibson, there's Epiphone, there's Yamaha, there's so much. There's Ibanez. Um, I need to identify and learn about all my competitors. There could be some weaknesses, there could be some strengths, because when I'm entering a new place, a new field, there is a significant barrier of entry. And if I do this market research or strategic research, whatever you want to call it, you are now very much aware of the field. So, okay, so the barrier of entry is high, but if I take this other route, the barrier of entry does not exist there. You need to do that much by yourself. And as I said in the last answer, right, you need to obsessively uh, learn and become an expert about that industry. This is how you do it, by doing the strategic research. You can call it market research. So size the market, understand कितना बड़ा धंधा है, how many crores, thousands of crores exist here, how much of that can you tap in. So let's say if the guitar industry is 1000 crores in India, for example, just a random number. But if I'm only targeting new guitar players, so I've created a cheap, simple to play guitar, and I'm only targeting the new guitar players. That's not 1000 anymore. Maybe that's one fifth of it, right? So 200, crore. This is the complete area for me to play. Who are the other players? Who are the other cheap guitars? What is the rating? उसमें negative comments क्या है? What is the trend going on? I will go and talk to actual guitar users. Okay, so you are a new guitarist. What do you prefer? Do you want metal, steel string? Do you want nylon string? What do you want on your guitar? Kind of sounds, this, that. So do you want a heavy guitar, light guitar? If you do all of this right, it would barely take a month. You become an expert. You know insights. You've listened to actual users, so you have your ears to the ground. Voice of customer is there, and you have also consumed a lot of reports. So you know from a 30,000 feet view also what's really happening, what's up. So this is my advice. I think if this much somebody can do, and all of this can be done by themselves, no money is involved, just time and efforts, you become an expert and you have a lot of clarity. That's how any GTM starts. Go to market starts with research and learning, and that's when you once you make yourself educated, then you start spending money.
Great. And anything about the channels you want to add up? Like, for example, shall we go with initially with the organic channels, which might end up taking some times?
No, I think yeah. So as you said, organic channels will take time to build. They're solid channels, but they'll take time to build. And then you can also start spending marketing dollars and have some performance marketing channels. It's subjective, depends on how you want to do it. Depends on the industry that you want to go in. Um, In the guitar example, if I were to create a community first and do everything organically, it would have taken me a lot of time. Do I have that much time to create the inventory first, wait for the sales to happen, create a community where people start using, start giving reviews, and then everything starts? Or I don't have that. I have, just invested in my inventory. I need to get that inventory sold so that I can make back the money, and then I can reinvest and make more inventory. In that case, I will have to put some amounts side on the side for performance marketing. Now, when it comes to performance marketing, in the guitar example, I think direct to consumer would be the best way, one of the best ways at least. Also partnering with coaches, just coming to my mind, I'm just thinking out loud here. There are guitar coaches, there are virtual guitar coaches, partnerships with them. Everybody is now an influencer. So if you play 3 songs on a guitar, all your 3 songs you will upload on Instagram. So you would want a profile where you are seen as a guitar player or an influencer. There's no dearth of influencers now, right? And you can start with normal folks who don't demand money. You can gift them a guitar, you can give them something around some discount for your guitar, and in return all you can ask is just play the guitar and give a honest review on your channel. You can start that ways also. So there's no dearth of channels, there's no dearth of influencers. These are the different things I can think of. But in the guitar example, I think D2C would be a legit first way to start off all of these things.
Thanks. So, before moving ahead, it's getting too much into the marketing. So now I would like to know your personal lifestyle also a little bit. I
Yeah.
have mentioned obviously that you are into gaming and all. So I want to make the conversation little light now. So how exactly Harsh Kishore is as a person? Like, if you would like to tell about your hobbies, how you exactly manage or balance your professional and personal life.
Okay, so I have lots of hobbies actually, and I am one of those people who buy books, who buy guitars, who buy games, and never finish it off. So that's how I try to spend. Yeah, so that's how I spend. My free time. Very recently, I've been involved with a lot of fitness. I lost about 10 kgs in the last 1 year or so. So yeah, I think it gets quite busy to be honest. And if you do not very consciously find out time for yourself, it becomes extremely difficult. And I'm a firm believer of the facts things are okay when you put efforts into taking care of those things. It could be your job, it could be your health, it could be your relationships, anything, right? So I think weekends I make sure that I do. Sometimes I don't do anything at all. I just doom scroll. Sometimes even that's therapeutic, right? Sometimes I spend a lot of time on guitar or playing a certain game or reading something. So that's how mostly my time goes. A lot of my time is also allotted for talking to my folks, my family, a lot of time, right? So every day, half an hour to 1 hour, it goes talking to them. Weekends are all about it. They will cook something, I'll see. They'll video call me, I'll cook something, I'll show everything to them. I'll invite them over. So that's what I do. That's how I sort of unplug after work.
Yeah,
And
so
what
books.
games are
You have just mentioned books, so please suggest some books to us also so that we can also read that.
Oh yeah, and I'll come back to you about the game thing. So books, since we are on the marketing piece, 1 or 2 books that would really help somebody understand the ins and out of marketing and get started would be the first one would be the One Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb. One Page Marketing Plan by Alan Dibb talks about scrappy business owners who don't have a lot of budget. How do they market? And the foundational understanding behind marketing, conversions. It's the complete of Me Too marketing. In fact, the Me Too marketing or Me Too business is a word created or used by Alan Dibb in that book of his. Amazing book. I would recommend that. The second marketing book would be This is Marketing by Seth Godin. He talks a lot about building a community, building a fan, building a brand. He's a genius. These 2 books would feel like a crash course in in marketing. So those two books, I have honestly stopped reading fiction now. I think the last fiction that I read was The Song of Ice and Fire because everybody was watching Game of Thrones, so I started reading that. How to Build a Car by Adrian Newey. He's a F1 team principal, Red Bull team principal. So he has won, I think, about 14 championships with the cars that he has designed. So I think that was also, you can call it fiction. No, it's not fiction actually, but it's the story of how he built the cars, and it's quite a famous book. So those were the last two books that I read in that way. The rest are all marketing, self help, business, and all that.
Great. I think one of the question we had a little bit clash on. What I was asking is about what are your favorite games you're playing or was
Oh,
playing?
so currently I'm playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 on my PlayStation. I have bought, as I said, I keep buying stuff. I don't finish them, just like books. So I have Assassin's Creed, the latest one. I don't even remember what's it called. It's not Unity. It's the other one. Then I have FC 24 that I have not played. Then there's a sniper game. But currently I'm playing Call of Duty story mode. I really enjoy that.
Because I'm also big gaming. मेरे first salary से the one of the first thing I brought is gaming PC.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
yeah, and I personally love the COD. Because I think पहले वाला edition was too like I don't know, but I feel basics ones are best. So मुझे पहले वाला पसंद था, but I don't know. Recently मैंने नहीं खेला है, but great choice.
Yeah, I think that they're due for a comeback with Black Ops 6 that's
Yeah.
coming next year. It's going to be a huge release. So hopefully Call of Duty can go back to the old roots that you were mentioning about. Yeah.
So, Harsh, now moving back to your professional side, because now we had a light conversation. So,
Yeah.
Harsh, what is the AI influence in marketing domain right now? What exactly? I am sure like it has made the work little easy in marketing domain also, or do you think like it is a like what happens ki sometimes it's more like a copyright also ki you are just writing there and you are getting the same kind of strategies always, so is it a good way or bad way? I would like to know
Hmm.
from you.
Okay, so when we talk about AI, a lot of conversation happens on Gen AI, generative AI, right? So I think uh, if you look beyond generative AI, so let's say if we are talking about generative AI, you write copy, you write and generate ideas, and you learn. I think that's like the top three trends generative AI will help you with. But if you look beyond generative AI as a whole can do, I think, three things superbly well. I think which it's already doing. The first is identifying and serving the right persona. I keep using the word persona identification because I think every marketer should just have this very clearly that if they know who to serve, how to talk to them, and where they are, it makes everything very easy, the operations very easy. But anyway, so AI identifying the right persona, and hence the second part is hyper personalization, right? So personalizing your content or your campaign to that particular persona, that becomes that is uplifted, that is hypercharged because of AI. The third thing that AI is completely going to revolutionize, which it has started doing, is campaign optimization. So let's say there's a marketing campaign that you're running on three platforms. Let's say you're running it on LinkedIn, Instagram, and let's say YouTube. Okay, one of these platforms come up with a new update for distribution. The algorithm is slightly tweaked, and your reach is now affected. If you're doing it by yourself, you need to be updated, you need to make changes. When AI gets involved, all of those little changes and optimization is being done automatically. And since it's automatic, it's also very quick and effective, right? So it's like you're running the same campaign, creating the same campaign, but it's running in three different ways on three different platforms, right? So to summarize, I think persona identification and reach out to that persona, hyper personalization, and campaign optimization are the three things that AI will 110% completely optimize and revolutionize rather. Gen AI is good. but I think humans writing copy is still quite impressive.
Yeah,
So yeah.
exactly.
Great. Uh, I also want to quickly dive into the area that I think we discussed just a few minutes back is about, I think, B2B SaaS and personal branding. Uh, I see there is a lot of surge in LinkedIn creators these days. People are getting into personal branding, and I
Yeah.
do see they are getting results out of it. Because you are into SaaS now, do you feel yes that has been helping? And then what are your ideas or strategies? Shall we implement that or not? Any thoughts basically?
Yeah. So I think I'm a big spokesperson for personal branding. Uh, I don't think personal branding should be seen completely in isolation with the overall branding of a certain brand. Because I'll give you a very small example. Let's say there's a SaaS product. There are two SaaS products, very similar, very similar digital presence, but the first SaaS product does not have its founders out there. The second SaaS product, the founders have their own personal brand online, for example, and there's like a plethora of examples nowadays, right? Founders having their own personal brand. And if you ask yourself the question, which side would you be inclined, assuming all factors are the same, it's just that this other company, the founder has a more, bigger presence online. You would be inclined towards the second option because it gives social proof. It gives that angle of, you know, relatability. They would be sharing stories. They would be talking about challenges that you can relate to, and you feel like, okay, behind this really high tech nice SaaS product there is a human being who is just like me,
Yeah.
and that obviously helps. Of course, now you cannot measure it in black and white, or after every post how many sales or how did my ticket size increase because of my founder's post. Of course that can't be done, but overall from a larger perspective this definitely helps. Having a personal brand is also a unique way of telling your story, right? Because earlier uh, channels were quite limited. Now you have so many platforms. I mean, if you dance, you create a video, put it out there, so many platforms can pick it up. Create your own community, people you can talk to, relate to, inspire, get inspired, learn and evolve, right? So I think personal brand is, and I don't there's this I keep talking to folks, and there's this notion that personal brand should always be capitalized and leveraged for monetization or more sales or something like that. I mean, yeah, that is one outcome that you would want, but please do not look at personal branding only as a means for bigger funnel, more money. It could help, but please don't look at it only for that, because this is your dear diary, but for the whole world, right? And if you are open and comfortable doing that, then why not? So
Yeah.
if you take my example, personally, I'm not big on sharing personal stuff. So my LinkedIn, my Instagram is like what is it, private, and you will not find stories or updates on where was I last night, where did I have my dinner, who my friends are, who am I dating, all that. I will not, obviously not do that, but that's a personal preference. But on the other hand, I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I have my two blogs where I write poems, stories. I'm writing a book. I also used to have a YouTube channel where I was a tech reviewer for a bit. That was a phase. So, as you can see from my own example, you have these different ways of expressing yourself. Not all personal branding has to be very loud and revealing your life. It does not need to be that way, and you can still build a brand. So yeah, that's, I think that's my 2 cents on personal branding.
पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग को लेकर आई बिलीव एवरीबडी हैव वेरी डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव फॉर मी आई बिलीव पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग इज मोर अबाउट योर स्टोरी गिव योर स्टोरी बट नॉट डू द प्रमोशन ऑफ योर product or maybe
Yeah,
whatever you are associated with. So I think in a very different way ki you should not at all include your personal branding with the product what you are actually selling to the market. So that is something is my
100%
thought.
agreed. Yeah, yeah.
So Perfect. So Harsh, now now as you know, like many people are there who want to enter to the marketing world, but they are not because they don't have the right skills. Now I would like to know, like, what kind of skills you would like to tell them, a very budding marketers, that this skills for sure they should learn, and along with that, one particular advice which you can give to them.
Hmm. So I think I have a couple of advice, although I don't think of myself as somebody who can advise, young professionals. But if I've
Advising the
learned
startups.
something, sorry, go on.
You are advising the startups. For sure, you can give the advice to our young entrepreneurs or young marketers.
Yeah, so I mean, I can share a few things that have helped me, and hopefully that can help others. And these are quite basic things. So the first one would be learn how to write well. And this also goes beyond just marketing professionals. You could be anybody. And this is something that came to me when I was in Amazon. Amazon has a deep rooted writing culture. Very infamously, it does not use PowerPoint presentations, it's all about documents in Amazon. I became a good document writer, or rather improved. I don't know if I'm good or not, but I improved as a document writer. And if you're a marketer, you would be expected to write a lot. If you're in PR, you're creating releases, you're creating different type of content, announcements. You are in product marketing, you are creating writing copy. And writing copy comes very naturally to you when your uh, general writing is quite solid and you understand your product in and out. So improve your writing skills. There's hundreds of writing courses. Your writing should be crisp, clear, and you should be able to convey what you want to say very easily and effortlessly without creating a large preamble and all that. Writing. So one is writing skills. It's the most one of the most rather important things for any professional now. Be it your emails, be it your quick messages, be it your internal documents, or be it your marketing copy. Very, very important. Um, the second one would be, I think, system two thinking. So, system two thinking, I understand, might not be a very popular term. So, let me just give you some context. There's this book called Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He uses this term called system one thinking and system two thinking. So, what are these? System one thinking is basically things that come naturally to you. So, for example, you go to the office every day, you walk to the office, it's a 10-minute walk. Some things just become part of your subconscious. There is this break in the road, you have to avoid that part. There will be a dog waiting for you to pet. This will happen, that will happen. There will be a certain security person who you see every other day. You have to take out your ID card and swap. It becomes part of your habit. So that's system one. All the actions or the thinking that you're doing is not deliberate anymore. But imagine you join another office and now you have to walk in a different direction, or rather, you moved your house, you're in a different city now. And the first time you walk, you have to absorb everything. Everything has to be deliberate and it has to be different, right? You have to optimize. You have to figure out, okay, there's some water logging there. Let's not take that route. So that's system two thinking, basically deliberate thinking. And system two thinking is very important in any job, any role profile you are in, because let's say you have been given a task or there's a challenge. You need to start thinking and questioning, why and how. Why is it this way? And why are we even doing this? What is the outcome expected? And how do we go about it? You cannot do system one thinking there. You can't do it the way you have done it everywhere else or in the past. You need to have system two thinking, right? And that needs to become part of your personality. Everything has to be deliberately thought of, thoroughly thought of. And if bring system two thinking in yourself, that gives you a very nice edge, potent edge. So yeah, writing skills and system two thinking would be two things that I think if people have and put their minds to, they will get a lot of help.
From your words, what I understand that now the concept of having copywriter with the marketer is not something which is existing. As a marketer, you should yourself be knowing the copywriting.
I mean, it of course it helps, right? So because eventually any marketer would want to do more, right? So let's say somebody who's currently doing brand marketing, or rather, let's say content marketing. Their job is to figure out the right way to speak about the product or something about the product or the company. Eventually, they would want to go into brand. Eventually, they would want to be senior enough to have, performance marketing, PR, product marketing, brand marketing, everything, right? So it genuinely helps if you can write very clearly and you can also write copy. And it would be something, right? Because I mean, we are all fast moving companies now, and let's say if somebody is not there today, you have to make a social media post. Your job was to create the design that will be uploaded on Instagram, but writing the caption, that was not your job. That person is not in the office today. It would really help if you could just write, because you know copywriting and you know you're good with writing, you can express well and precisely and concisely. You can write something, take it to your editor or your leader, manager. If they like it, it's approved, one thing quickly done, instead of being a day delayed, right? So yeah, that's why.
Perfect. I think now people must have a basic fundamental that they need to learn. But I think you did mention you're also looking after PR. And when I was working as a brand manager for an earlier company called as Live Linen, I was also looking after PR. One of the things that I think I wanted to understand from you is that how to measure success of PR, and when should a startup or a company look or go for PR? Do you feel there is a timing for that, or like, yeah, again these two questions basically.
When to go for PR depends on the type of industry you're operating in and the type of company you are. Deliberate PR should be done. Whether you have a separate team for it or not, that's your decision. But what PR essentially does is it takes your message and puts it out there with deliberation, right? And it also makes sure that it is carried in the right way on the right channels. That's for me what PR is. If you feel that message is amplified enough right now, it is present where it should be present, and it does not need enough any more amplification, then it's fine. You don't need a dedicated team right now, maybe later. But if you feel your message is not currently out there, and you would want this to be conveyed properly through the right channel among the right people, maybe that's when you can start thinking of having a PR setup. PR does not always mean you need to be present in a certain publication or a news article. It could also mean the founder just having their own personal brand. You can start with that. Why not? You create your own channels and you start using sharing your messages from these own channels. So PR could be big and small. PR could be mainstream and non-mainstream, and PR could be present and absent. But it 100% depends on whether you feel like you already have a message that needs to be amplified, and if it is not, then why not do some PR activity around it?
Okay, and do you have any particular metrics? Because I know that PR is something which you can not directly measure in some sense, but how can people feel assured that whatever they are putting efforts into are getting valued basically somehow?
I think the most important metric would be the persona that you want to speak to. Do they now know about you or not? Do they know about your ethos and your values or not? They might know your brand name, but they might not know about your value system. And that's when you might want to put some effort into PR activities. So that would be one metric. The other one would be, how often do you appear in news? How has the search trends gone up or down? You can very quickly have a word with your sales team. So let's say if you're an up and coming company, 6 months ago, if you did 10 demos, And when you first talked to a certain prospect, were they aware of us? Were they aware completely of our services and product? Versus now, if you do 10 demos, or the last month that you did 10 demos, how many were of these prospects were aware of us, of our values, and of our offerings? So yeah, I think that in that way we can, have, and obviously the very obvious way is how many places am I getting coverage, which is, I mean, the most obvious thing. But yeah, I think if you understand the impact, so my way of measuring anything is by understanding the impact that it has had and then work backwards. So, and that's what I would apply to PR also.
Wonderful. Great. So I think it was a very insightful discussion with you today. I think I learned a lot, to be very honest, and I think people might have also got a lot of good ideas out of this that they can implement. But now coming to the last section of this podcast, we have a rapid fire round where we're going to ask a few questions, and
Okay.
maybe just a word, not a question, a word, and then you also have to respond back whatever comes to your mind in very short about it. So Prachi, go
With
ahead.
Harsh, we will be having a marketing rapid fire. So we will be using some marketing words where like Harsh can give one word which is coming to his mind,
Okay.
because so many times I have heard for you persona. So first is user persona,
Right targeting,
brand positioning,
trust,
nice. Okay, target audience,
threading the needle,
okay, value proposition,
not an announcement, concise.
okay, mm, competitor analysis.
Hope, because when you actually start doing competitive analysis, you figure out, okay, it's not that bad. Everybody has their own, weaknesses, and we can also go in that market and play with those competitors. So hope,
A/B testing,
questioning everything.
return on investment.
Super important.
Vaibhav, over to you. You would like to add the
I
words?
just yeah, I just have two words. I believe you mostly covered or even mine as well. So what does branding stands for you?
Branding stands for me. Does somebody immediately understand who am I and what I do by my brand? I know it's supposed to be a short answer, but I'll just quickly add an example.
Yeah.
I think Seth Godin famously writes in his book about this. If there is a Nike branded hotel, you already have some idea how that hotel will be. The fitness center is going to be huge. Uh, the food will be healthy, lean. You already have some idea. That's the brand that Nike has. But a Grand Hyatt branded shoes, you don't get much idea, right? Um, so that's what deliberate, conscious branding does, and that's what it means to me.
Great. And success.
A non-negotiable.
Wonderful. So that's what we had for this podcast, Harsh. I hope you also find some good time with us. A part of that, I just want to thank you for taking this time out today and helping our audience, learn more about marketing side of this. I know that there is a lot we can cover with you, and if we get a chance, we would definitely love to bring you back and again talk on some other topics on any of the areas that you would like to talk about. Thank you so much for joining us this podcast today, guys. Who don't know yet, he's also helping startups. So if you wanna get in touch with him, you will find LinkedIn link in the description. Go chat with him, ask your questions, and I believe that we will be happy to help you as well. So thank you so much. Any final thoughts, Harsh or Prachi?
So thank you so much, Harsh, for joining us today. And we had some great insights from you. And I am sure the audience which we have, especially who are just starting their career, they might be getting a very good insight through this when they will be hearing it out, because the skills what you have covered and the kind of marketing strategies what you are covering which you have shared, it was very insightful even for me. I was trying to understand from very ground level till like now what you're doing. So thanks so much for sharing. Looking forward to have another episode with you, because actually I was thinking Vaibhav, we want to have this podcast for 40 minutes, but already we are just just having this podcast for longer period of time now. So for sure we will be having a second episode where we will be having more discussions which we have not did in this particular podcast. Over to you, Harsh, if you would like to add something, and then we can wrap.
No, wonderful having spent this time with you guys. Thanks for having me, and the questions were really nice. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, and I hope the viewers or the listeners they gain something, they find it interesting as well. Thank you again. Really good use of Sunday, to be honest.
Great. Thank you. So, guys, this is all we have in this podcast. Stay tuned for a second part of this. But as I mentioned, if you want to check with anyone, do find all our LinkedIn links in the description. Thank you so much. See you. Bye bye in next podcast.